The Colorado Avalanche. They're a pretty good team, much to my dismay, but they weren't the first team to call the Mile High City home. Another team set the forefront for professional hockey in Denver. They were terrible, just as bad as the Scouts. They were the Colorado Rockies of hockey. Play the intro. In one of my first videos on this channel, I talked about the Kansas City Scouts and how much of a disaster they were. Quick recap. Due to the large number of expansion teams within the late 60s and 70s, the oversaturated and limited talent pool at the time, the competition between the NHL and WHA, and the 11 billion investors with no real money known as the ownership, and the Scouts were set up to fail. The arena was also located in a less than ideal location, but that's minor. How bad were the Scouts? Try a combined record of 27 wins, 110 losses, and 23 ties. Kansas City's only accomplishments were not winning their last 27 regular season games and playing an exhibition series in Japan because nobody in America will watch those teams. The team was god-awful. They played in front of tumbleweeds and crickets most nights, and the threat of relocation or contraction was looming. Following the 4-game series in Japan, the Scouts were in trouble. Ownership was in debt and launched a season ticket drive to try to salvage something. Unfortunately, they only sold 2,000 tickets. Even with the possibility that the Kansas City Kings ownership would save the team, a potential deal fell through. The Scouts were sold to oil baron Jack Vickers with the plan to move the team to Denver. With the move, they needed a new name. Gone were the Kansas City Scouts. In their place, the Colorado Rockies. The move to Colorado was supposed to be a fresh start for the team. The good news is they won 20 games in a season, which they never did in Kansas City. The bad news is they lost 46 games. A new location doesn't change anything. The Rockies were still terrible. Improvement by default, however. The Rockies' second season was a disaster. They finished as the 6th worst team in the league. Yet they made the playoffs. To the Rockies' fortune, the Smythe division was a joke. The Rockies had 19 wins, the Blues and Canucks had 20. But Colorado had 21 ties and finished 2 points ahead of Vancouver for the final playoff spot in the Campbell Conference. In the playoffs, the Rockies faced the Philadelphia Flyers. Colorado was expected to get destroyed by the Broad Street Bullies. Game 1 at the Spectrum saw the Flyers outshoot the Rockies 44-18. Yet after 3 periods, the score was tied 2-2 thanks to the goaltending of Doug Favell. Only 23 seconds into overtime, however, Favell couldn't hold the floodgates as Mel Bridgman slid home the game winner. Game 2 was similar. Both teams were tied after 2 periods. In the 3rd period, Philadelphia put 2 goals in and held on to win the series. Despite the sweep, it was a valiant effort by Colorado. But off the ice, changes were coming. Jack Vickers' company, Vickers Petroleum, was having financial problems that hurt Vickers' ability to pay the lease at McNichols Arena, which didn't give the Rockies any revenue from concessions, parking, or advertising. Vickers had no choice but to sell the team to Arthur Imperatore. Imperatore had plans to move the Rockies to the Meadowlands Sports Complex in New Jersey, once it was complete. Even with new ownership, the next season should have some promise for the Rockies after a surprise playoff appearance. That's where you're wrong. Like an avalanche after a loud noise, the Rockies were welcomed back to last place. Again. More changes were coming. The next season, the Rockies had a plan. They brought in the boisterous, flamboyant Don Cherry. Yes, that Don Cherry. Cherry was a former Jack Adams winner with the Boston Bruins before being fired. In Colorado, the motto was, come to the fights and watch a Rockies game break out. It was the 70s and 80s, fights broke out every 10 seconds. But once again, this is the Rockies. They still struggled. Even with a trade for Lanny McDonald, due to Harold Ballard wanting Dale Sittler gone, the Rockies struggled. In particular, their issue was in the net. Cherry wanted a replacement for Hardy Astrom, who he nicknamed the Swedish Siv. Rockies GM Ray Miron disagreed. While the two clashed, the Rockies had yet another terrible season. Cherry's flamboyant style didn't mesh well with management, and he would be gone after one season. They were technically tied with the Jets for last place, but the Rockies had less wins, so last place it is. As a new decade began, something good happened for once. The Rockies didn't finish last in the league. Don't think they were going to the playoffs. Colorado wasn't catching Edmonton for the last playoff spot. Also during the season, ownership changed again. Imperatore sold the team to Peter Gilbert. Gilbert originally had intentions of staying in Denver, but that would change. With a new division realignment, Colorado found themselves in a division with Edmonton, Calgary, Los Angeles, and Vancouver. And this was the same Rockies team as before. Nothing good happens here. Besides the team sagging in the standings, as usual, more things are happening off the ice. Back in November, owner Peter Gilbert said he wanted to get the Rockies to Meadowlands by next season. In February, Gilbert made a request to the Board of Governors to move the Rockies to New Jersey. There was, however, a problem prohibiting the move. The New York Rangers had territorial rights to New Jersey. Despite the fact that they played in Madison Square Garden, the Rangers flirted with the idea of playing in New Jersey, mainly as a way to get public funding to give extra money to the team because it was just too much to pay taxes and labor costs. If a move to New Jersey were to happen, the Rangers could veto it. After another last place finish, Dr. John C. McMullen bought the Rockies and, if you could have guessed by now, he planned to move the team to New Jersey. And in order to get it through, he paid the Rangers, Islanders, and Flyers territorial fees to get the move through. The Rockies were going to New Jersey. They wouldn't be the New Jersey Rockies or the New Jersey Scouts. Instead, after a fan vote choice based on folklore from the area, they were renamed the New Jersey Devils. Even with fresh start number 375, New Jersey continued to struggle. Even worse, in 1995, rumors swirled that the Devils would move to Nashville. But they won the Stanley Cup that year, mainly by turning hockey into soccer, and won two more in 2000 and 2003. The Devils made the Stanley Cup final in 2012, but lost in 6 games to the Kings. Today, the Devils are one of the strongest teams in the league. Turns out you can be a great team without having to put people to sleep. New Jersey is poised to make a deep run. Even as the Colorado Hockey Rockies were gone, the name would return, but not in hockey. In 1993, Major League Baseball awarded an expansion team to Colorado, and as a nod to the Rocky Mountain region, the team was named the Colorado Rockies. But that wasn't the end for hockey in Colorado. Another team would move there, becoming the Avalanche. But that's a topic for another day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'll see you in the next video.